Hi everyone, thank you for joining us this evening, this Saturday evening. We've decided from now on we're going to call the Saturday Evening Live Painting a Crack, because it's not going to be the full-on tutorial of brush by brush and mixing colour by colour and whatever. I'm going to assume that by now most of you have got the hang of which are my favourite brushes, and when I say a Deerfoot stippler, you know what I mean, or an angle shader or whatever. And I'm also going to have the piece transferred out onto my canvas before I begin, because for those of you that have been following me all the way along, I'm sure you're absolutely sick to death of learning about Seural transfer paper. Incidentally, on my page, for those of you in the UK, on the group page, Miss Acrylic Paintalot group, there's I put a post on about a company called Yandles, like candles but with a Y in front, yandles.co.uk, and I'm not quite sure what they are. They might be like a builder's merchant or a wood yard or something, I don't know, but they seem to, well, they do have, because I've bought some of the Seural transfer paper, the sample packs, at a really good price, much less than half what they are on Amazon. So if you're thinking about buying any, that's a good place, I would say, to get them from. The post is on my group page. So yeah, we've decided, as I say, to do this not as a cut down. It will be an entire painting, but the painting will be smaller, which means it's obviously quicker to cover the canvas if it's smaller. And I just wanted to encourage a bit more chat and light-heartedness. If you're looking for a full-on tutorial, it still does have a little bit of crack in it, but a bit of banter. Then twice a week on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, I'll post a tutorial, a sort of series of videos, and in the end you get a completed picture. First one we did was the Tuscan house, which is now completed. I have seen people's versions of it. It is amazing. You've done extremely well, and I know a couple of you, it was the first time you'd ever picked up a paintbrush, and I can't believe what you've achieved. If you go down to my table, please. This is what we're doing at the moment, and it's I've entitled it The Old Barn. It's a photograph that I found on Pixabay by Flash Buddy. So many thanks to him for taking it. It was a little bit wider than this, but I've cropped it down to this square format, and we're doing it in 16 by 16, and this is as far as we've got at the moment. But we add to it twice a week, about an hour at a time. Sometimes we go over a little bit, and before you know it, you've got yourself a lovely picture to hang, as some people have done, on their staircase, and it looks gorgeous. So that's what we're doing with the long proper tutorials. But I thought, if you didn't fancy sitting and working your way through one of those tutorials, why ever not? They're wonderful. I would bring a little old log cabin to you tonight. It's smaller, it's quicker, it's not going to be so detailed. We're not going to worry about things. Not that I'm saying we worry on the tutorials, but we like to get things really, as good as we can. So this is tonight. This is the picture, the reference photo, which I found on PMP Art, Paint My Picture Art. That's what they're there for, so that you can paint the picture. So, don't worry about copyright and all that sort of thing. Although it's always a good idea just to have a look at it and make sure you are entitled to use it. But you generally are, no problem with that. So as you can see,
Susan says hi.
Hi Susan. I love that hair, Susan. I love it. It's amazing. I'm so proud of you. I really am, and I hope you're really proud of yourself too. I can't wait to see what we all make of the old barn. I think I'm really enjoying this one, and I feel like it's going to be really good. Anyway, back to tonight. This is the picture, as I say, from paintmypicture.com. And actually, you probably can't see it, although I will put up a reference. There is actually a reference picture I'll make sure it's a proper reference picture on my Miss Acrylic Paintalots group. And you'll see when you look at it closely that what looks like this quite stormy sky is actually a hillside of pine trees or fir trees or something. I don't want to do that. I don't particularly like this. It feels dark. It feels a bit spooky to me. So that was my really quick sketchy version that I did, just to give you an idea of what it would be like. And I've put the sky here instead of these pine trees, and I've just tried to lighten it up a little bit. I still want this moss on the roof to be much lighter yet. It looks like the perspective's out, actually, but I have copied with transfer paper faithfully those lines, and what I think it is, this bit on the front here is some sort of salubrious extension. I think they may not have followed the original building line, so we're getting a sort of, this looks head on, and that isn't far enough round to have the perspective right, but truth is sometimes stranger than fiction. So, shall we get cracking? I'm pretty organised tonight. I have transferred my image. I've got my palette out with all the names of my paints. Can you ever believe this? So I think the first thing to do is put the sky in. I want a nice bright sky. I want it to be quite cheerful. So I'm going to use cerulean blue, which is a nice bright sunny summer's day sky. So we don't need very much of that. Actually, there is some other bits of cerulean blue in here. You can't see it on mine, but there's a bit there, and there's a bit on the roof as well that I hope I remember to put in, because it'd be easy to overlook them. And the other thing I want out is pure titanium white. So if you've got any questions at all, please ask. Mr. Handyman is equipped with a bell to let me know that a question's coming up. And since we bought the bell, nobody's asked any questions, so please ask a question tonight. Hello, you have a question?
I do.
Oh.
Susan would like to know what size are you doing?
This is 6x8. It's tiny. It's really teeny tiny. And it's a one of Jackson's. It's not the premium canvas boards like I normally use.
It's the 3mm.
It's the 3mm ones, and I think they might be called. They're called. Academy cotton canvas board 3mm, and they're just a little bit cheaper than the premium ones, and I can't really see any difference. What I would say is sand it down first. Really try and sand any canvas down if you can, particularly that's been gessoed, which almost everyone has, because it's just a brush wrecker. Otherwise, it's really lumpy and bumpy, and it's like sandpaper in your brushes all the time. So give them a good bit of sandpaper before you start. Right, so I'm just mixing a bit of the cerulean blue with some titanium white, and here we go. So we'll start off the sky at the darkest, brightest at the top. As we're running out of paint, pick up a bit more white and run that through it. Sort of blending as you go. Bit more white, put that through it.
Georgia Pease joined us.
Hiya Georgia, I haven't seen or heard tell of you for a while. Are you alright?
And Penny Lane.
Hiya Penny. Thank you for joining us. It was sad last weekend, wasn't it? Easter Saturday. Because two things. It was Easter Saturday and it was Mr. H's birthday. And we did a live because you said you wanted a live. Nobody turned up, did they?
Very
We
few.
were talking to ourselves. In the end, I did a really speedy one, because it kind of just wasn't worth it. So I've got trees down in here. I'll just sort of paint vaguely over the lines where they are. And that's the side of the roof down there. So that's kind of, that was a nice summer sky till I did that. There we are. And I think we'll put some clouds in this, or a cloud at any rate, and just summer it up. So I'm going straight into the titanium white with my deerfoot stippler, just pulling a bit of paint off the side, try and keep it as clean as you can, and let's put one up here. So stipple it on, and remember clouds come in all shapes and sizes, but if you're doing this sort of cloud, they generally always have a part of them that's much more intensely white than the rest. So we'll try and make this part really white. Might have to come back to this actually because my cerulean isn't dry yet. But it is giving a nice effect because it's pulling the blue through it. I think that's probably enough. I think we don't need to go too overboard with the clowns. Clowns?
Trish has joined us.
Trish, hiya. Send in the clowns.
The red-nosed clown.
I'm already here. I'm going to leave that. I might come back to it later when it's dry and reinstate some of the white. Those of you that have been doing the old barn with me, you'll know exactly where I'm going next. I'm going round here because this is actually behind the old barn, so I can do that, and it makes it easier to get into it before we have the barn there. Right, so for our trees, let's put out some Hooker's green. We're going to need quite a bit of that, but I don't really want to put out too much at the moment due to the heat situation. And a little bit of permanent green light. And I've got my white, but I'll also put a little bit of lemon yellow out. I'm untrustworthy tonight with my paintbrushes. They're going everywhere. Just a bit of lemon yellow in case I want to lighten it up. Right, so there's, if you have a good look at your picture, oh no, I just put paint on my face there.
Yep.
What colour is it?
Very touching shade of green.
Oh, that's nice.
Looks like glow up gone wrong.
I don't know if I've still got over face. I'm sorry if I have. You just have to live with it. It's the kind of person I am. You should just be really grateful that you can't see the rest of me.
We went for the elegance of Coco Chanel and ended up with the elegance of Coco the Clown.
I think that's exactly what you call a compliment, but never mind. So this is a kind of fir tree that's going up here, and it goes off up to the top. Comes down like this. I'm sure you all know how to do that. I can feel that acrylic paint drying on my face now. It's kind of not exactly what I have in mind, but never mind. Right, so that's fine for that. Just get rid of the surplus in there. Let's mix a little bit of the permanent green with a little bit of that Hooker's green. So we've just got a bit of a different shade of green really to differentiate our trees. This one's a more sort of tubby kind of tree. I dare you, go to the garden centre and ask for a tubby kind of tree. And I think actually it's behind the other one, so I'll just try and paint it in that way. That's a fence post. Well, I don't think it is a fence post. I think whoever's owned this delightful resident has tried to plant a tree or something, and they've put up a post to tie it off to when it was a sapling. and due to lack of care, I guess it's just died.
Gail Morrison's joined us.
Hello, Gail. Welcome along. Please feel free to comment, good or bad. I'll only cry. But, you know, Mr. Handyman is there. He's got a bell that he rings if anybody asks a question. Please, somebody ask a question. Oh, my life. I was going to take a little bit of this lemon yellow, you know, once again, just so as we get a variation in tones of our green trees here. I think there's one that goes up sort of quite roundy in there. I hope you like my descriptions of trees. Roundy and...
Somebody whose first job was in the Forestry Commission. You're not the best at it.
Yeah, but the Forestry Commission primarily up here deals with blooming fir trees. If you're not a fir tree, you know, I don't really know you.
It's true.
So that's that one. And then we've got two which are actually quite dark. So I think I'll just mix a bit of raw umber through some green. Raw umber. So my palette's getting filled up already and I've already done anything. Need a little bit of that actually, because that's our master colour tonight. So what have you all been up to? Did you have nice Easters? We had a really quiet Easter, a very quiet Easter Saturday night, as I say, because we're sitting here talking to nobody.
And you thought my birthday was on the Sunday.
I did.
Which kind of made it even quieter.
I really, really did. I did. I thought, oh, his birthday was on the Sunday. It turned out it was on the Saturday. So, like, he had no card, no presents, not even a happy birthday, because I didn't think it was his birthday. What made it worse was I'd seen an event advertised on Facebook, and it said Saturday the 20th of April. And I thought, oh, blimey, they've got the day wrong there, because the 20th is a Sunday. Anyway, you know, what can you do, eh? That's a bit too similar to the one we've just put in. So how does this work for most of you? Do you actually paint along with me, or do you watch it and then paint it after, or do you just watch it and think, I'm not painting that, and move on to the next thing? I love watching art tutorials on YouTube. I probably watch many more hours of art tutorials than I do of television, to be honest with you. So I'm just putting a line along the bottom demarcation zone. So the next thing that we need to do is this bright yellow grass, just to bring us up to level to the start of the I'm going to call it a shack, because it's a shack. So I'm just going to get into the cad. You can't see now because I've mixed them in all. Oh, come on. It's cad yellow deep, and I've mixed some paint over it already. You just go ahead. I thought I was that pleased with myself as well. You know what I mean? Being organised. Oh, I've rubbed it off now. Oh my life, forget it.
Would you like to do your other eyebrow?
No, sorry. Now, I've told you all 100 times, it's worth repeating, yellows are very, very transparent. They won't stand up on their own, so you're going to have to mix something through it, or you'll do that and be very disappointed. So I'm just going to put a bit of, actually I've still got a little bit of cerulean blue there, so I'm just going to mix all of that into this cad yellow deep. And it is deep, it's like an orange actually. So I'll just put some of this in here, and you'll see it's not really the colour that we're after, but it's a really good base coat for the colour that we are after. So put that on. A bit of raw umber going on, just kind of in the middle here. Just put that in roughly, we'll paint over it when we come back again. And then there's a little bit more of this going down here, kind of to there. So that, you know, don't worry about that at this stage. That'll all come clean in the wash, I promise you. Right, so it's time to move on to the mossy roof, I would say. And I broke this out today. It's brand new. Well, done. All it's done is that sketch that I showed you. Still had the plastic cover for it and everything. Now I've got something.
I popped it in the pot if you want the plastic cover.
That was horrible. I just was going to show how nice and new it was. I'm having a bad time tonight, aren't I? Right, so basic kind of rule that I have with acrylics is you start dark, you work to light. So the dark that we're going to put on is raw umber. I might just mix a little bit of green through it. Just soften it up a little bit colour-wise. That's a nice dark colour. And pretty much we want to paint the roof. That's really our intention at this stage. Now I know that you can't see all the roof when it's finished because there's trees coming over it, but it's easier just to paint it and then when it's time to put the trees on, just put them over the top. Now the bottom of this mossy thing, the moss that's grown on it, is quite sort of wavy. Try and get that if you can. Try and achieve that. This is, as I say, it's an angle brush, and it's really great for getting into little nooks and crannies. And it doesn't have to be exact, but try and just give it some sort of wavy edge. That just comes down there and it stops quite abruptly. I've got some raw umber coming through here, but it doesn't matter, it's all going to get painted over. It's just I want a good base coat to put my greens on. mine's decided to grow over the side. If you have an accident like that, there is a way of getting rid of it. If you get some water on your brush, make sure it's quite clean, and just paint down the area where you don't want the paint. Get a towel or a cloth and just dab it, and there you go. It's like it was never there. So don't worry about getting paint where you don't want it. There are always solutions. Even if you paint it and it dries and then you think, oh, I can't live with that, then I get Mr. H to get the nail varnish remover out in a cotton swab, put a little bit of acetone or nail varnish remover onto the swab and just ever so lightly stroke it, and it will bring back the top layer, but please be gentle or you'll end up straight back to the canvas. Right, is this dry? That's dry, so let's move on to our the deep, Cadiolo deep. And come back over here and put this grass in. Looks like wild sort of corny sort of stuff, I've no idea. I ain't no farmer. So right over that dark umber there. So there we are. It probably needs another coat. Maybe not, I don't know. So back to the moss situation. Is that dry? No, not quite. Right, we'll move on to the tiles then, given that that's not quite dry. Now this is an interesting grey. These slates, which I think when you look at the picture you'll find is actually wood, but do what you want to do. It's a sort of a lilac-y grey, and the way to achieve that is to get some Diox purple. You only need a little bit, tiny bit. It's a really strong colour. And spatula thing. Oh my god, the dog's gone mad again. And the opposite of that on the colour wheel is yellow. So if you take some of that, that's way too much. Take some of that, take some yellow, mix them together. I told you that was too much purple. Add a bit of white. You'll start to see emerging from the melee a really gorgeous purpley sort of neutral, because the yellow and the purple cancel each other out, but it still has a slight hint of the purple about it. If it hasn't got quite enough, add some more, but don't add much at a time, really don't. It's just really strong stuff. So that's the grey for our roof. So let's just paint that on. There is a line of shadow between the roof, slates, timbers, whatever they are, and this grey. So, you know, you don't have to be excessively fastidious. Fastidious, Mr. H?
Fastidious? I suppose technically if they're wood, they're probably shingles.
Yeah, actually I think they're full-length timbers.
Oh, right.
I think I've just misread the whole situation.
Oh, well,
But it doesn't really matter.
it makes them and me a plank.
It doesn't really matter, you know what I mean?
No.
I mean, at home, you've got time. Here, you know, I've got to hold your interest. So that's why we've decided to try and speed it up a little bit, which I don't think I'm kind of successfully doing, actually. I think I'm still talking way too much.
As long as your hands are moving.
Yeah, keep your hands moving, love. Right, so that's fine. We'll come back in later on and put the impression of shingles, tiles, slates, timbers, whatever they are. Just covered about everything there, I would have thought. Right, so moving into this this mossy, can you see that there yet? This mossy roof. And now that is a lot of lemon yellow and green. It's an awful lot of it. But let's just move it up a gear by mixing some of our mid-green with some yellow. So we've got a sort of kind of lighter than this. So we have what is ostensibly a mid-tone on it. Still got my angle shade, and I'm going to use the toe of it. And I'm going to go over parts of it. Right down here, it does seem to be very, very bright. And it goes down into there. There's still some dark areas on this, particularly the shadows from the trees. And the trees themselves actually do come out over it.
You wet, Bob, is it raining?
So okay, so that's our first layer of mossy moss. So I'm going to go back to our shingles, assuming they're dry, which they are, of course. And I'm just going to pick up a very small brush and some black, which I haven't got out yet. If I was doing this with more time, I'd make a black that's not as black as Mars black, but I want to keep this quick. I want to keep it flowing. Is anybody speaking to us, Mr. H? No.
No, not particularly.
I don't know what I've got to do to get people to speak to me. So, what we do is this comes down here, and it's got a sort of line across it there. This comes down here. maybe is at the wrong angle, sort of down there. That's better. I think I'm going to have to go in and erase that. It's going to annoy me otherwise. Well, I'm right down to the canvas again now, but it doesn't matter because there's all sorts of crud and stuff on it, on the roof. That sort of angle, isn't it? Wow, that's thick. And then it does come across in quite sort of narrow little lines, not like I did the last time. They are narrow. Right, I'm going to leave that to dry because I need to put some sort of coloration on that, something to lift it a little bit. And in the meantime, we'll start on the barn thing itself. So ostensibly, what you need is an angle brush. I'm using the little one this time. I want some raw umber. I want some titanium white. And we're just mixing up a middish colour. It doesn't matter if you haven't got it all mixed on the palette, it'll be fine. So there's a shadow that comes down here under the roof, but apart from that, it's quite hard to tell actually. And if I'm perfectly honest with you, I don't really know what's going on in this painting. I don't understand what some of the parts are. We've had a good look at it, Mr. H and myself, and we can't quite work it out. But I shall do my best, and then you can work it out from there. So this is a more browny tone than the roof tiles, which are more purpley. I know you won't be able to see that on camera, you just have to trust me on this. Just trust me. I think, yeah, that comes down, so I think we're all right to there. And then there's a little bit of the same stuff going on in here. I'll triangle a bit. Now don't worry that this is all one tone. I don't want you worrying about things, because it's all going to be fine in the end.
It's at the ugly stage.
Oh, it hasn't even reached that, I don't think. It doesn't look very pretty, I'll grant you that. But we're just blocking in. You've got to block in. If you don't, you know, it's just what you've got to do. Got to get your colour on there before you can start messing around with it. So quite what's going on in this corner is absolutely beyond me. But I think on this one, I'm going to hide it behind trees, and when you look, I think I could get away with that. So these have got a name, these things that go down here. They're called soffits, or, no, I don't know. These roof bits, anyway. Because I'm left-handed, I find it easier if I'm doing straight lines to do them this way on. If you're right-handed, you'll find it easier the other way on. And don't be afraid to turn your canvas. If anybody's ever told you in your life not to turn your canvas, it's not, you know, that's just not right. It's difficult when you've got a canvas that's 60 inches wide or something. That I will grant you, but with these little ones, just turn them. It's much easier. So what's going on here then? Why is my moss stopped there? I don't know, I needed more moss there, I think. So then I'm just going to add a little bit of white to this, otherwise I'm not going to be able to see the things at the end of my roof. These things, and the actual roof. So this literally just fills in, and down here we come to trees. I'm whistling along tonight, aren't I, Mr. H?
You are.
Yeah, I told you I would. Like Casey Jones. We talked about Casey Jones the other day, weren't we, on the other tutorial?
We were. And Daktari.
And Daktari, yeah. And Little House on the Prairie. In fact, we're having a bit of a throwback day.
A throwback day. And we were just discussing how we used to have to wait for a week for something to come round. And now we only had 3 channels to choose from.
Yeah, and they went off at blooming 10 o'clock or something, didn't they?
They did.
It was like the 10 o'clock news, wasn't it? Boing. Do you remember?
National Anthem.
Oh, the National Anthem. I forgot about the National Anthem.
And then it just used to go and shrink down to a little dot in the middle of the telly, which used to stay there for a few seconds, and then that was it. If
I was allowed to be up at that time, which I rarely was, I used to plead with my parents, don't take me to bed until the dot's gone.
And of course, when we started watching telly, it was all in black and white.
Yeah, it was. And you rented your tellies, didn't you?
Yeah,
you
radio rentals.
Them. Yeah, radio rentals.
And Granada.
And DER. Or was that the type of the telly? I can't remember.
No, in fact, we used to have a telly that had a coin slot on the back.
weren't for trusted, you know.
They obviously didn't trust as much, which is fair. Coming from a long family of miscreants.
No, you don't. So this here, once again, I'm painting around something that I haven't got a clue what it is. Not a clue. But it's on my picture. So it's going on.
Susan.
Oh! A question!
A question. Is there a grayscale chart you can work with?
Yeah.
And then she put test card, but whether that's to do with the telly.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
I don't know where my colour chart is, my colour wheel. If you've got a colour wheel, Susan, inside the second circle, there is a grayscale chart.
The second circle of hell.
Yeah, pretty much. Once you get into greys, it is the circles of hell. I think there's a little bit of that there.
Not sure where you
No. No, doesn't matter, Don't wreck the house.
By knocking everything off, I found it.
Well done. Yeah, so, yes, Susan, this is the ordinary colour wheel that we talked about before, and these colours here are the grayscale colours. And if you're mixing from there to there on the grayscale, start with the white and mix your dark into it, little by little. And if you're working on these colours here, these greys here, start with your dark, in a grey case, black, and add your white to it until you get to there. So that's really what that's about. Hope that helps.
And of course you mentioned the test card, which of course is what you used to get on the telly.
Yeah, you did. Watch with Mother always had a test card on before Watch with Mother came on. I remember that particularly.
You had to fiddle with your horizontal hold, your vertical hold.
And the colours. When you got colours, you'd be watching the news and a newscaster would come on, it'd be green or blue. And somebody would say, turn the yellow down.
Well, they used to have 3 big sliders on the side.
They did.
So they did 3 different colours.
Yeah, they did.
You could spend hours getting it right for one programme and it'd change the next time.
I know. It's so true. Right, so I kind of think
Sounds like we should live at Beamish, really.
Yeah, I think we should. So I'm just going to add a little bit of black into
We're
that.
not that old, honestly. Just sounds like it.
Well, so many things have changed in our lifetime, haven't they? You know, masses of things.
Nobody had a phone.
No.
In the house.
This just isn't quite dark enough.
We used to have one phone in the village.
Yeah, we did. And I can't believe that people used to ring it up and say, you know, can you take a message to whoever? And us kids who'd be out playing, yeah, we'd take a message, you know, and get the message and run round to them and say, oh, so-and-so's rung you up. I mean, can you imagine kids of today saying, yeah, I'll just pop round and give her that message? You'd never get it. Cat and horse, Jones. Right, so this is just a kind of lighter blacky grey.
And then when people did get phones, you had to pay for the phone.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't buy a phone.
No, you rented the phone, didn't you? From what, they weren't called British Telecom, were they? They were what was the post office that had them to begin with?
Post office,
yeah. It's like a walk down blooming memory lane. It's like we're 90, you know, and our grandchildren or great grandchildren have come to us and said, Nana, please tell me all the history that you know. I'm just going to lighten this corner bar up. I'm really not sure what it is at all, but it's a different kind of colour. I'm quite sure you would be able to make a much better job of yours than I am. I'm rushing and I really don't know. I don't like it when you're lost in a paint and you don't know what's what. But that's kind of what's happening here. Now there's a very dark line. In fact, I'm not going to, I was going to say I'll put it in with black, but it's raw umber. I'd never live with myself if I didn't do it right. So down there is a raw umber line. I can't for the love of me imagine what's happened there. It's just sort of stopped, so I'm just going to make it stop. Make it stop. Okay, let's put in this very dark shadow under the eaves, the roof. So I'm taking some raw umber and a very little bit of black. It's a very dark colour, this. I'm just wondering if I'll be able to get it with this brush, but I'm sure I'll get near enough. It sort of cuts up into these tiles. It is very, very dark. I must say, canvas paint's much better once you've sandpapered it. You know, you're not fighting with it all the time. I think the problem a lot of people have when they're new painters, they don't use enough paint on the brush, and it makes your problem even worse then. So you're fighting the canvas and you haven't got enough paint.
It's understandable though, because when you have a lot of paint on your brush, you think you're going to make a mess, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh no, I completely understand it. It just, the only thing is, it makes it more of a problem.
Yeah, you have to fight through it.
So there's some black under here, and that's black as well there. Yeah, you kind of have to fight through it and think, well, what would happen if I put more paint on? And once you've done it with more paint on your brush, then you think, I know now, that's what to do. I'm just carrying on filling in dark areas as I can see them, as I'm reading them, you might say. I mean, the main reason I did this was so, you know, people didn't feel left out that we were doing the old barn. So I thought I'd do a little bit of an old barn just to keep everyone happy. Of course, it's difficult with a very small brush like this to get enough paint on to actually cover an area rather than a line. That bit right there. not like it looks. It's not like it looks in the picture. I think you're going to have to draw your own conclusions about this one. I swear I haven't had a drink. We don't drink, do we, Mr. H?
No.
Not for any particular reason. You know, we're not alcoholics or anything like that. We just, well, got to the stage where I couldn't stand the hangovers, frankly.
And of course it helps living in the middle of nowhere, where the nearest pub is 8 miles away.
Yeah, it is, 8 miles away. I mean, well, you get a taxi, I suppose, wouldn't you? I was going to say, how would you get there and back?
You did have to be a taxi. There's no buses this time of night.
We do have buses here, though, that take you to the village that's 8 miles away.
We can get another bus
Yeah.
to a town, which is 25 miles away. And from there you can get a train which takes you to the city, which is another 25 miles away. So if you fancy a day in the city, you better make it a long weekend.
I'm laughing, but it's true. It's actually true. So this seems to come down all the way to the ground. I'm not, like I say, I'm really not sure what these things are. I mean, maybe if you're a farmer or something, maybe it would mean something to you. I'm just not sure myself. So there's a bit of blue going on in there somewhere, which I think we need to acknowledge. And then down at the bottom it just comes back down to this same old colour. Sort of moly sort of colour. There's a bit of orange in there, a bit of black in there, and these doors. Well, they look yellow. Why are those doors yellow? I mean, it just doesn't look right.
Susan says she used to sit and watch the test cards as kids.
I know. It was like magical, wasn't it? No, I can't do that. I'm watching the telly.
Well, if you stared at it long enough, of course it moved.
Yes. Yeah.
And she says, how fine a sandpaper would you use?
Quite a fine one. 280, 260, 320.
Well, that's quite rough.
I use.
It's about 800, I think.
Yeah, but you could use
400.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use any rougher than 400.
Okay.
260, we would take it straight through to the bare bone back.
Don't listen to me, Susan, on this occasion, although as you know I'm usually right. But if it's anything like that, that's Mr. H's department, so if he says fine, then, you know, it's fine. But I tell you, it makes a heck of a difference. This has got some blue business going on here.
One used pliers behind you, so I don't know what, probably doesn't say, on the cabinet by the blue and white vase.
Can you show them I need to keep painting? I've got to keep painting.
You keep painting and I'll put that in front and you can see, hopefully, that it is quite...
It's called a sanding sponge.
It's a sponge.
And we got them off eBay, didn't we?
Yeah. And they're very good for doing odd-shaped things because they bend in your hand. You can use them wet. Yeah,
I see you were sort of having a little ponder about doing furniture, Susan. And if you are, they're really good for like the spoke things on the back of the chair.
The spokes there, bobbing turnings, that sort of thing. You can get
legs.
You can wrap it round and get a good.
Yeah.
I won't do the motion because.
Good purchase, can't you?
Yeah, indeed. But as a general rule, you should always start with a finer, sandpaper.
Well, no, not if you're sandpapering something
Well,
that's
no,
big and rough and tough.
if you know how much you're going to take off, yes.
Yeah.
But generally, if you're not sure, then start with a lighter one. And if it's not doing it, then go rougher. But if you go too rough too soon, you can't recover it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a problem. So there's just some sort of turquoisey, greyish, ooh, that's a nice colour for my purposes, flecks on this roof. I don't know what they're doing there, I don't know what they are. But they're just sort of randomly on the roof. It's going to come into there again, I don't know what that is either. And I'm left now with this, well, behind here is that grass, I think, behind there. But I'm left with this blooming door, which is kind of troubling me, really. I'm going to put it in as it is, yellow.
Well, the quite good ones are the Harris
yeah.
block,
And
which is similar to those, but there's more of a solid
and
foam inside.
if you've got anybody near you that sells general finish, I don't know where you live actually, Susan, but if you've got a general finish stockist near you, they sell the best, the very, very best, aren't they? Sanding pads. They're just...
Yeah.
They do them online, general finishers, and you know I think they're worth getting. They're not expensive, and they're just the best. They're just the best. So I've put yellow on this door because I'm blindly following my picture. There's no interpretation of this picture tonight, really. It's kind of blind guesswork by the seat of your pants kind of stuff. So this has got some yellow. I have to bring some white over and mix it and put it. This I'm seeing now that I'm seeing through to behind here. So I don't know if this is some sort of pump or I don't know. Might be a bit of wood or something. I've no idea, but it looks like this sort of colour to me. So that's the colour it's going. I'll come back later and make those a nice deep yellow like that one. Right then, let's put some lines on the house. For that we need another mixture of black and burnt raw mist. Let's bring it down to here. So you want quite a dark colour to put the lines on with. I'm going to paint that in this dark colour. I don't know what it is, but it's now dark. Right, so I've got some lines over here. These can be as tidy or as untidy as you wish. They can be as close together or as far apart as you wish. I'm just doing what seems natural to my hand, to be honest. These ones come down at a sort of angle because they're not in good shape. And then I sort of begin to square up. And then the ones on the side of the house. Well, before we do that, we'll put in the shadow under under here. Surprising when paint's wet when you've just painted it. So that goes there, and there's a bit of quite a dark shadow up in the centre here, as you would expect. This hasn't really got a shadow because it's where the light hasn't hit that and given it much of a shadow, but it has got some. So let's pay notice to that, shall we? There we are. So time for the lines. So we're progressing. We're definitely progressing. Oh, I didn't put that on. That's a dark grey. I'll come back and put that on. And this is, you know, painting quite quickly here. So as a consequence, you just don't get the detail as well as you would when you really take your time with it. It follows naturally. But I just want to give you an idea of some tips and tricks along the way, perhaps. Right, so here we have some black stuff. I really don't know what it is. Again. And then we've got this door, but I'll get my 1/4 inch angle shader for that. Got this, I think it's a door. It looks like in size anyway, it's a door, I think. Don't worry if your lines aren't straight. I don't think there's much about this place that's straight, so you won't worry overly much about that. And of course the centre of here is also dark.
Susan says she lost us briefly. She's got howling gales.
Oh, have you? Oh, blimey. Oh, I hope you've got everything tied down and secure. That's awful. Winds are the worst, I think, don't you?
Yeah.
Worse than anything else. They're really frightening. So I'm just going to take a bit of that grey that we had before, mix a darker sort of in between colour just for this, the frame of this. Now these greys are going to shift hue in a minute when I'm going to show you something else. I think I need to put a black line around that because it's not standing now. Not standing out very well. Where's my black? I'm just going to draw a line around it. I'm not too worried about it being square or anything. This is a free painting. You can do what you want to do. Right, so let's go back to the moss, put some yellow on there. Let's address this yellow on the door. The door needs something. I can't believe this is a door you actually go in and out of. It doesn't look like it.
Well, to be honest, I don't think anybody goes in and out of it anymore.
No, I think it's a bit too dilapidated.
I think you're having trouble making out. I think it's probably part of the roof.
Oh, is it?
I think that the roof's sort of overextended, a bit like a Swiss chalet, where the roof's come past the actual. I think it's that, and then it's just tumbled off, fallen down.
Oh, right. So should it be just the same colour like the brown then?
Well, or the grey, browny, whatever.
Grey, browny.
I think it's part of it. I think it's the edge of the roof, if you like.
This bit here. That wasn't the bit you were talking about.
No, it's that bit the bit at the back that you thought was a pump or something.
Oh God, here he goes.
This bit here.
What on earth?
There.
Oh, right.
That bit there.
Right.
There was obviously more roof.
Right.
There.
Right.
That's fallen off.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you. Where'd you get that pointy sticker? And I told you earlier, didn't I? I said you were scouting round looking for trouble. I knew he had that expression on his face.
Very mischievous.
Just nosing around. So I'm getting to the stage now where I'm tidying up a little bit. I'm not saying it's Not saying it's tidy, but it's I'm getting tidier. I'll just go back over some of these. Show them. Just show them. You're going to sit there just messing with it, so just show them what it is. He's got an artist's hand, and like any 6-year-old child, he's having great fun playing with it. Oh dear, you shouldn't mock. Don't be rude. Don't be rude to the people that aren't there.
It was pointing inwards and not outwards.
I was pointing at me. Thanks.
I thought it was safer to be rude to you.
Yeah, it is, since you've already had your dinner.
It's true. But then I'm going to be rhubarb tart afterwards.
Yeah, you will. Right, okay. We've reached the faffing stage, which is not where I want to be. I'm not faffing tonight. I am not faffing. Lemon yellow.
Paula's arrived.
Hello, Paula. Welcome to our not party. We're not having a party tonight because nobody's here. Well, no, that's not true. Susan's here.
Somebody else is lurking in the background. I'm not sure whom.
Yeah, but I bet they're thinking, what on earth?
Yeah, to be honest, they probably clicked on by mistake and then went to put the kettle on or something. Yeah. Forgot it was still on.
What on earth are these people on about? So where we put the medium green before, I'm just going over with the lemon yellow. Which sits nicely then above the medium green. I'm just using my 1/4" angle shader. I'm using the toe part of it, which is getting a good hammering, really. Shouldn't really use it like that. But you know, we do. So I'm taking some of my Cad Deep. I'm just going to mix a little bit of it through with this lemon yellow. See if that will give me a brighter shade. Because there are little bits of this colour in it actually. Don't forget we've got the tree to go over the top yet, so you know, don't get too carried away with yourself. It's a nice thing to do, I like doing this. So okay, so
Silvana joined us.
Hello Silvana. I haven't seen you or heard from you for a while. I hope you're well.
Paula's saying that Susan's paintings are brilliant.
I know.
She said it's all down to Fiona and Mr. Handyman's tutorials.
Well, let's teach them something.
Well, you teach them something. I probably teach them how to not behave.
Well, to tell you the truth, you're getting worse and worse as the weeks go on. You used to be quite polite and shy, may I say. Shy.
I'm always polite. One of my redeeming features, I've been told.
Yeah. No, you are generally polite. It's just on a Saturday evening. We're generally talking to a group of people that we feel we know, don't we? Aren't we, I mean? Mr. H?
Yes.
So, we feel that we can be a bit more free than when that's the shadow under the moss on the roof. I'm going to leave the roof now, and I'm going to introduce you to something that you may or may not have seen before. This is a rather small pot of Winsor & Newton mixing white. Now, mixing white is the same as zinc white. It's very different to titanium white. Don't get too mixed up or you'll be sick of your life. It's like mixing a very fine. I'll say that's enough for now. a very weak titanium white through glazing medium. But you don't have to do anything with it, you just paint it on and it's sort of transparent, so it does the job for you. Oh, such a lot of yellow on there. Right, so what we'll do is we'll take a bit of our mixing white, just a bit, don't go bonkers with it. And you can see that here there is quite a light area. So I bet you were wondering how I was going to get this shading in, weren't you? Well, this is how. This is like putting a white wash over. But you might have to do it a couple of times because it is like really quite transparent. Depending on what look you're going for, of course. So I'll do that over there as well. And it sort of peters out as it comes to the bottom. But we do need something bright in here because it's in danger of being swamped by greens, death by greens, and that's not what we want. There is a very white section down here, and if I was doing it, you know, properly on a big canvas for a finished piece, I would do that with a titanium white glaze, just so you really get the full hit of the white, just to add a bit of interest to the picture really, because as I say, there's a heck of a lot of mid-tones in it, which isn't good. It's not a good composition if you've got loads of mid-tones. So there's some down here as well. It's worth getting some of this. You know, you won't use it on every painting, but when you do use it, it's just, see the way it just sinks back and yet leaves you with that look. Good, isn't it?
It is very good.
Good at its job. That's its job, and it does it well. Mine, did I tell you? Can you tell them about mine, what it says and what size it is and what it?
It is a Winsor & Newton Gallery acrylic mixing white. It's 500 millilitres or half a litre and 6.9 US fluid ounces.
See, the thing was, I'm so used to paying out ridiculous prices. Well, I'm saying ridiculous prices for gold, and I mean that's the price of paint. That when I went online to buy that, usually you're here, aren't you, Bobby? Usually you're here, aren't you? So I'll say to you what size is, you know, 500 mils or whatever, and you'll tell me in pints, which are, you know, that's what I work in. But on that occasion you were out, and so I looked at that, and I think it was £12.60, and I thought, oh well, that's fine, and that'll be, you know, the size that I normally get with gold and the tubes and that. So I went and ordered it, and then when it came, it's that thing. It's the size of a living Dalek. So I won't be buying, or needing to be buying any mixing white for a goodly while. So there, okay. Now, if you feel that you wanted to lighten this further, or, you know, really go into start getting intricate with it, please do, take your time. Take all the time that you need, so as you're enjoying it, not so as you're not feeling pressured. You should never feel pressured when you're painting. You know, don't take on commissions until you really feel that you can, and you can do them justice. Otherwise, well, you'll always worry about taking commissions, that's for sure and definite. But, you know, get some experience first. Right, okay, so I'm going to go back into the roof with some more brightness. And I think that this is showing up marginally better than the lemon yellow. But I'll mix the two and see what we get. Let's just go back in down here. Section there showing through under the tree. Right, I'm just going to go into my mid-green. Let's see if I can brighten that up a little bit. It seems resistant to being brightened today. I like being miserable old painting. I used to love painting lichen, you know, lichen on gravestones and other stones. I used to absolutely adore painting it. I don't know why, but I did. Right, I went through a period of just painting gravestones. Not the actual gravestone, you understand. Painting the lichen on the gravestone. Right, so this needs a bit more zhuzhing up. That and that. And then there a bit. There we are. And there is also a section of that starts about there. So I'll put this on first with a little bit of white through it. So as we get so it's make it opaque instead of transparent, like it wants to be.
Sounding like a cat's appeared.
Yeah, and he's decided to meow as well.
She sent Bobby into a frenzy of searching.
Oh, he's found him there. Right, so that's that. Now let's have another look at this cloud, because it's kind of disappeared. The dog's showing off to the cat that he's got toys, is what this is about. He's got a toy in his mouth and he's barking at the cat. So we want proper titanium and proper. We want the full hit white for this, the titanium white. We're just going to go back into these clouds. You see now when the blue's dried, how you get that. They stand out, they look nice. Put it down slightly at the bottom. Let it fade away. Like that. And we'll just try and get a little bit more paint onto there. Because they do have some parts of them that are really, really, really white. So that's fine, I think that's quite a credible cloud. So the next thing to do, well, I'll do the grasses along here, then the trees, where I'm on, it can be an hour and a half, whatever we do. I've really tried to be quick. I really have.
Yes, I know. Carol Kelly Wasserman has joined.
Hello, I don't recognise your name, maybe you're someone new to us. Thank you for joining.
You're just off the screen there. You've crept.
I've crept.
Crept left.
Yeah, I've crept. So I'm just sort of filling this in with this, what's it called? Permanent green light. I think it's a colour that's kind of peculiar to Sennelier. I haven't come across this colour before. So I think it might just be a Sennelier abstract colour. But you can see what colour it is, the mid-green. Just poke down into that grass there. And there's obviously going to be some grasses coming up against this old barn. Now here we move into trees, so the grass kind of starts to disappear really. It just goes down into that corner. Okay. So let's move back. Let's clean our brush first. Move back to this cat deep. I'm not drying this, and I really should, because I'm not, you're not getting the full hit of the colour. But I'm determined to do this relatively quickly. We're aiming for an hour, actually. But I can't see it happening. I'm going to have to start choosing ones that don't have as much detail in, I think. You know what I mean? Mr. Rachel talking to you.
Yes, I was just considering the options.
All right. I think that just needs a bit of mixing white up there, just to lighten that a little bit. I'm actually also going to put some over that door, which looks slightly garish to me. Just tone it down a little bit. Right, so let's come in with our sword brush, which you've seen me use before. And I'm just going to mix up some Hooker's green. You should never do this with a sword brush, incidentally. And some of this medium green. That's a better mix there for me. I've got that loaded. So I'm just going to come along and put some...
Off the screen again.
Oh, sorry.
Keep shuffling left, which is fine. That's where you need to be. I can always
It just seems like it's comfortable.
I can zoom out a little.
No, I'm all right. We're nearly there anyway. So I'm going to put some... Not enough paint. Just going to put some longer grasses here because we're right at the front, and of course grasses don't always grow in one direction, they're not all the same length. Some smaller ones just growing up there, just to say that
Paula says it's looking great.
Paula did her jacket, denim jacket the other day with a fairy chic emblem.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. She transferred the image by tracing, by scrubbing the back of it with white chalk, then painted through it, so she had like a transfer, and then painted it in with acrylics.
Very good.
Yeah, looked great. I think she used I think she put a fabric medium in the acrylics. Right, okay, so enough tarting around with that. Let's move on to this big pine tree here. It's a big dark boy. So I want some of the Hooker's green, quite a bit of Hooker's green. I want some raw umber in there. That's a nice dark green, which is fine for my purposes. So we'll start at this top corner, and you can see I've mixed in quite a lot of raw umber there, but I've still got, it's still green, which is what we want, because it's a tree. Even with sanding this down, I'm still getting canvas bits showing through. That's it. On about the 10th time of asking. This, when it comes down to here, is this different sort of bushy bush. It's a bushy bush.
Bushy.
Yeah, that's the one. But this up here is not. It is this pine tree. And it's got fronds, I shall call them fronds. I think the branches are probably in normal life, that sort of come up. And pine trees do that, don't they? They come up like that. And they sort of have bits falling off them. Like so. please feel free to put more detail in yours. This really is just a kind of... I won't do this again, to be honest. What I will do is I'll select something that I really can get done in the time. Because this is... I don't know what it's teaching you, particularly because we're going so quickly. And I'm not explaining things to you as I normally would. And it's not, it's not enjoyable for me because it's like a trial. It's like a trial by green at the moment. So I will more carefully consider my choices for a Saturday night. I think that's the way forward.
Carefully consider your life choices.
Yes, definitely. Need a bit more raw umber in that. Use the light green. Yeah, I think so. Do you know what I mean? I just don't know. Well, I think people mustn't be enjoying it because they're not joining us, are they? Maybe they just have better things to do on a Saturday night.
Well, that's entirely possible.
Do you think? I mean, do you really think? So some of these have got little lines on them coming down. It's just the way of the world if you're a pine tree. They come down from the branch, they don't really go up, but this is the brush I've got in my hand, so. Okay, so I'm quite happy that that's okay. I'll just give that a minute to dry and then we'll come back in and just, there's a little bit of a highlight over the roof there. But in the interim, we'll move on to Bushy Mac Bushes.
Which actually could be a place name round here, to be fair.
Yeah, it could. It could actually.
We do actually have somewhere called Wallish Walls.
We do. Yeah, we do.
There's also somewhere called Wide Open.
Yeah.
Once Brewed.
And Twice Brewed.
And Twice Brewed.
I haven't got enough green. I'm just going to put out the medium green because I need a bit of point of difference between the Bushy Mac Bush and the Piney Mac Pine. That's way too much paint, but I'm getting past it now. I thought Sharon might have joined us tonight because she was the one that initially asked for a whatever this is, cabin thing. Shack attack. Yeah.
Paula said yes, she mixed it with fabric medium.
Yeah.
Which I think you would to have the flexibility.
Well, it won't stay otherwise.
No, it just.
I mean, well, you say that. I mean, I've got acrylic paint on all of my clothes, literally all of my clothes. And you put it in the washer and blooming well doesn't come out.
No, but if you've done a piece of artwork,
yeah, you
one small piece coming out would ruin it.
Yeah, it would.
So you do need the fabric medium. And Susan says it looks good with great info.
Oh, thank you. Or she might be talking about Paula's. You will find information about Paula's jacket on her page, Fairy Chic Emporium. And if you want more from Paula, and indeed from me in time to time, join a club, Fairy Chic Club. It's not expensive and it's good fun. So there we are, we've got some. We have at last got the canvas covered. That was a bit of a torture tonight, folks, wasn't it? Right, so I need some lighter, highlighty sort of colour. I always say don't put white through green, put yellow, but I just simply want it lighter. I'm just going to go over this as we normally do, in our normal fashion. Just adding some leaves, some highlights, etc.
Sharon PT has popped in.
Hello! It's nearly over. I just want some lighter highlights in that because they're going to sink right back, and we won't. You will see them. They're obviously there, but I just want some lighter ones still.
Susan says everything around there is fen, bushy fen.
Oh, does she live in Cambridgeshire?
Or Norfolk, possibly, or Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
The lowlands, whichever way you put it.
Yeah.
Where all the swampies live.
Oh, Susan. Bet you've gone off Mr. Handyman now. We used to live there, to be honest. When you were in the RAF, you lived there.
I bought my first house in Kings Lynn.
And I used to live in Ramsey.
You lived there, you lived in Ramsey when I met you?
Yeah, that's true.
And there was 2 RAF bases in Cambridgeshire / Norfolk.
What do I need to do? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? What does the painting need? What does the painting need? Well, it could need a little trip to the back of the fire. No, I don't know. You've got to ask yourself how long it took you and what is the outcome. Well, it's not that bad, really, considering. So it's just...
Sharon asks where she can get the reference picture, and she'll have to watch this one later.
Sharon, are you a member of my Miss Acrylic Paintalot group on Facebook?
Well, this is where this has been streamed.
Oh, right, I forgot. I thought we were on YouTube. I'll make sure that there is a reference picture for this up. I'm doing it on a 6x8 because I wanted to see basically if it would work rather than putting it on a huge canvas and taking up loads of paint when it didn't work. I do think there's potential for it. I will say that. I think, if you took your time and did it, I've shown you 1 or 2 things that I think would help, like the mix in white. It's called zinc white. Golden call it zinc white. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, Galleria call it, Winsor & Newton call it mixing white.
Mixing white, yeah. But
they have titanium white, mixing white.
Yeah.
And they also have an interference white. The name escapes me at the minute.
Yeah, but there we go. The only thing I don't like is this grass down here, so I'm just going to have another quick attack at it. I'm going to just use my 1/4" angle shader.
Move to the left again if possible.
Oh my
You
God.
might be able to see what... the grass at the front and the grass in the field, the yellowy grass. I think you would get back to tackle a little.
I think I'm just going to have to mix a bit of lemon yellow through that. See what happens when I do that.
It's probably the cornfield where the serial killer chases you through after you've found him in the barn.
Oh. Do any of you watch Criminal Minds? It's one of my favourite programmes. It's if you don't watch it, you missed a treat. But it's really all about horrible killers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's serial killers
and nasty people.
Just generally quite disturbed people. Sometimes
they're based on real life. You've heard the story before. Oh, hang on, I know about that. And then when you think about it, it is a real, based on a real story. It's never, I never give the name or anything like that.
No, though sometimes they do reference real killers, whether it's Jeffrey Dahmer or
Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah,
but it's not every week. It's people like this, but occasionally it is people that are that bad, and I just find it fascinating.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah, the Green River Killer. I've forgotten his name now. Please take your time putting these grasses in. I'm just literally not taking my time. Like I say, once a month I do a, well, we call it a fine art tutorial. It is a fine art tutorial. And I do that in Paula's group, the Fairy Chic Club. Exclusive little club for people wanting to know about all sorts of things, paint and furniture related, and Facebook related, and getting your page turned around so that it's, you know, good for business, etc. Paula, will you put a link, please, where people can go to find it?
Susan says she lives in Cambridgeshire, the Flatlands.
Ah, that's funny, isn't it? That's where we met.
It is.
In Huntingdon Tesco's, actually. That's where we met.
That's true. That's where we arranged to meet.
Huntingdon Tesco. How romantic.
I spent 5 years just up the road, RF Whitton.
Yeah. I'm just putting some shadow in under these Bushy McBush. He's looking a bit like he needs it.
Paul's put a link to the club.
Thanks, Paula. If you want to join Paula's group, she's just put a link on, so scroll through, you'll find it. It's £5 a month. Can you believe that? £5 a month. It's not even a blooming cup of coffee. Well, it probably is a cup of coffee, but not much more. Right, I'm calling it. Is there anything you can see that needs doing that I haven't done?
No, I think that's reasonably successful given the time limitations and
Right, I'm going to sign it. I'm going to give it away. I'll put a new post on for the giveaway. So it'll have some inane thing that you need to comment. But please, if you can, would you share my page, share this group? We need new members, we need new blood. You know, people so as we can look at their paintings and admire them. So I'll give one of these away. I'm not sure which one looks the better of the two. I'll wait till this one's dry till I decide. That one might look slightly better, I think. However, thank you to those of you who have joined me. Every Saturday night we do a live at 7 o'clock UK time. It's usually quite lively. I don't know why I'm not liking these branches on this tree. I'm going to have to change them a bit. It's usually quite lively and people comment and have banter between themselves, ask questions and so forth, so on and so forth. So please, if you can, join me on a Saturday at 7 o'clock, this group. But then twice a week over on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Miss Paintalot, there's a tutorial that goes on 1 hour on a Wednesday, 1 hour on a Sunday. Is it Wednesday and Sunday?
Wednesday and Saturday.
Wednesday and Saturday, sorry. They go on at 8 o'clock UK time, and that's a bigger... could you pass me the tutorial that we're doing at the minute? And it's a different beast entirely from this. You know, this is just a bit of fun, really. This is the tutorial that we're doing presently, which is the old barn. And it's lovely. You're looking out through this old shed to this really lovely, bright, autumnal sort of rusty old shed. And that's how far we've got with it so far. So you can see we've started. We're coming on.
We've done 2 parts.
We've done 2 parts to get to that. But, you know, we have transferred it and blown the picture up and whatever. And I really can't wait. I can't wait to see what people make of it. It's really exciting. So I'll see you next Saturday if you're not joining me on YouTube. I will sort these branches out, which look very iffy to me. And I'll probably see you through the week and I'll be chatting with you anyway. So once again, thanks everybody for joining me. It really, you know, it's great that you do. I love it. And see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Me and the boys were sitting around drinking. We was talking about things that we were was thinking when all of a sudden what comes out of Bill's mouth? Said I'm getting old and fat and slow, and I don't recover like I did before from nights of rabble, rousing and too much fun. Well, I looked around and we all agreed, and I had a drink and I ordered 3, and I staggered back to do it all again. And we made an oath on a rum and coke with the best intention, I'm sure you know, that we would stop this living in excess. We're gonna have one more party, one more special occasion. Do it Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, holidays and weekends. We can have one more party. There's more hell we should be raising. One more party now, one more